Oh, we can go.
We can go now.
Okay, we are officially recording, and today is episode 6. We have made 6 episodes of this, and I'm pretty sure nobody listened to the full thing lah. Apparently, it's very long.
I mean, you can't please everybody.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's meant to be consumed as like, a movie. But there are 3 acts.
Yeah,
If you listen carefully,
there are 3 acts. And if you're driving from Seremban to KL, it'll probably be, it's just nice lah. 2
perfect.
and then throw,
It's made for all of you KL Seremban drivers.
Yeah, so if you're the guy who lives next to your office place,
Try a different podcast.
no man, try to listen when you go running, Or if you don't run, please active lifestyle a bit, Corporate stooges or so bad.
So speaking about active lifestyles, episode 7, who do we have here today?
Miss Dee May Tan.
Hello.
Hello. How are
How's it
you?
going?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Dee May is of course the editor and founder of Plate magazine. I had the luxury of having a copy, and it does look very nice. And I understand that every word, I'm sure you got it proofread lah, but all the pictures, all the write-up, it's from you.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Illustrations,
Wow.
photography.
Yeah, you
illustrations.
sketch as well, right?
Yeah.
At Backpack Sketch
Backpack travel sketch.
on Instagram.
Yes.
Very impressive. I saw it and I was like, wow, Joe have pretty cool friends, man.
So this is the Plates is a one-man show, one-woman show.
One woman show for the first issue.
Okay.
But the second issue, which will be coming out hopefully in October, that's what I'm telling like the vendors anyway. I will be getting an all-women freelance journalist team together. So I'm pretty excited about that.
So you're going to be making a thicker version.
I'm hoping to. But I'm very interested in just not writing all the content for the entire magazine and just having more time to focus on the marketing and the getting funding and things like that. So I can pay freelancers the rate they're supposed to be getting and not paying them with exposure. Because I mean, you can put exposure into your EPF. We all know that.
Yeah.
And this is going to be in October, is going to be the 3rd issue?
Second issue. Yeah, so that's the durian issue.
I see.
Yes.
So I assume the pages won't be that pungent lah.
Well, if you want to introduce like a powder, we can crush up some durian and, I don't think it'll go through to like other countries though.
Yeah.
I might get stopped at customs.
But it'd be funny to, have a durian cologne and you have to spray on every issue just to live up to its name.
I'll just do it for you.
Okay.
Just for
So
your
sweet of
copy.
you.
Just for your- I have like dehydrated durian, which I'm going to try out.
Dehydrated durian.
It's pretty, it's actually tastes like durian except it's crunchy.
Legit.
Yeah. It tastes like exactly like durian.
I just found out about this dehydrated fruit used to infuse into tea. Like it's quite an interesting concept, but it's been around for quite a while. I didn't know they do durian. I also recently found out that you can apparently boil the seed of jackfruit, and you can eat them.
Oh yeah.
Can you boil the seed of durian and eat them?
You can try and let me know.
Boil the seed of jackfruit.
Yeah. Apparently it tastes like bread.
No, it tastes like potato. It's like potato. So during the war, like this is what like during the Japanese occupation time, like when they didn't have money and couldn't get like proper food.
Yeah.
Like you would use the whole fruit, right?
Yeah,
Including the
damn.
seed. It's pretty nice. Like
Jackfruit as in like cempedak.
like
Yeah.
nangka. I don't know what you call cempedak in English, but
Jackfruit.
small jackfruit.
Because people eat cempedak seeds as well, the fried ones. Some people like...
No, they don't.
They do. They go like crazy barbaric.
I mean,
Do they deep fry that shit?
Yeah, you get the whole thing, right? And then you spit out the massive seed. Some
Yeah.
people eat it.
Huh.
You can bite it. Like it's, again, like potato.
okay.
Huh.
If you say so.
Ready.
People eat all
Ready to
sorts of
try it.
shit, man. Like in Korea, they eat the cha-ching also. And I was like, whoa. Hardcore street food,
Well, we eat that in like Sarawak too, so
Yeah, but
the
they don't...
sago worms.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good
Right.
stuff.
I've tried it. Have you tried it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Live or
I tried
grilled?
it live,
yeah. Yeah.
Man,
Man, you guys are mad, man.
it's like very
Mushy?
cheesy,
Yeah, I would say so.
Cheesy.
but like flavorless. You know, it's like a little bit bitter, but
Yeah.
super like cheesy. It's like
Huh. But sedap.
There's not much taste to it.
Oh.
When I was given the butot or whatever they call it, sago
Right.
worms to try, they of course gave me sambal.
Oh.
So it was quite nice. It was
oh,
like,
cool. And you had it live as well.
yeah.
Holy shit!
So it's like they're riding in sambal. And they're eating the sambal. Do you think they eat the
marinating
sambal?
themselves.
Yeah, tastes good. Next thing they know, they're in someone's mouth.
The first one that I tried, like I held onto the head and then I bit everything but the head.
Right.
And then the local guy that I was with said, "Nah, makan saja, just eat it all."
Yeah, the head is the best part.
Is the best because like it's crunchy.
I didn't eat the head. I saw the pincher, so... And it was biting my finger.
You just
so-
gotta get it before it gets you.
Yeah, like that lady with the octopus. Do you see that one? The viral video?
Yeah,
couple of
the
days
octopus is fucking huge, man. And the
then-
tentacle is like slap on her.
And it like almost pulled
Yeah,
out like
it was pulling her, dragging her this way like that.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Where? Like underwater.
China. No, like she was doing a, I don't know what you call you eat in front of a camera thing.
Yeah, she's like a YouTube personality,
right,
right?
Yeah.
that-
Yeah.
Something, I don't know, it could be WeChat or whatever.
Yeah.
But apparently maybe you guys should diversify and just get people what you eat, you know.
Yeah, actually, there's a I think it's a South Korean girl who is I think she's quite pretty as well, and she does that, and she makes a shit ton of money just eating ridiculous amount of food in front of camera, and people like just watch.
It's some sort of fetish, maybe.
Could be.
I don't know, man. Maybe
like-
maybe it's like watching like people play StarCraft. You know, they have like 2 dedicated channels in Korea where people watch StarCraft game, and there's like narration, like there's a commentator.
What are we
You know,
doing
it's
here,
like football.
man?
Yeah. So it's weird because like when I was younger, right, and then my mom would tell me, "Hey, stop playing video game lah. You know, what are you gonna do? Make money off it, man?" Mom,
Yeah.
like yeah, like now it's completely different, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, coming back to plates, coming back to your journey, of course I find it to be very fascinating that you actually went out and did it all on your own. It's quite interesting. Like, tell us a bit about how your journey. As I understand, you of course went to the UK to study, and then you come back, and then instead of going back to work in the print media publishing houses, you decided to start your own. So walk me through a bit, like share a bit of your process.
Like pre-plates, you mean?
Yeah, pre-plates, like what led you to plates?
I think it's been the many years that I've spent in journalism. Like it was so compressed with the same thing that I kind of got tired of it. Like honestly, I mean, in the beginning you think it's fun. You're like, oh, I'm going to this event, I'm going to that event. And then after a while, you realize that every other publication is writing about the same person, the same brand, and there's nothing new to it. So, for example, if say I interviewed you, and then 2 months later, another publication will interview you, and they will ask the same questions that I asked you, when a good journalist would actually build on my publication or
Right.
like your previous interviews and ask you questions about that. So I felt it was very repetitive, and going to press conferences, you know, our Malaysians are known for not asking any questions. So it's quite embarrassing. Like it's really, really embarrassing. I think I went to one press con with Jason Derulo, this singer dude. And
Jason Derulo.
Yeah, man.
yeah. And all the Malaysian media was asking him the same question, even though he already answered it like 5 questions ago. They would ask him like, oh, who do you want to collab with? Again and again. I was like, oh my God, you guys can't, you guys...
Diversify the
Yeah,
question a
not at
bit.
all. You can't adapt. And I think that was why I felt quite jaded with the state of the media. Not to say that there isn't good media. I mean, like, I really respect The Edge and things, but we know at that time, as in pre-May 9, it was a bit tricky. And I really wanted to write more things because I knew I was interested in like marginalized communities particularly. the Orang Asli and all the other ethnic groups in Sabah Sarawak that we don't really hear about.
Yeah.
And I think that was it. Like just being jaded, and then you realize that you really want to. I didn't know how. Like I was telling Cash earlier, like I didn't know how, and in what medium. Because I always thought, online is the way to go, right? All these baby boomers are telling. I will get to baby boomers in a while, but they're telling you, you should go digital. Everything's digital now, and blah blah. But again, it's the same thing. Everybody just repeats what the other person says without actually knowing.
So plates, it's solely hard print.
Yeah.
No digital copy. You're not planning to.
No, I mean on the website platesmagazine.com. There are online like articles that will complement what you already get. So it's like an additional. So those who buy the magazine will get to see like maybe behind the scenes footage or like additional recipes. And then they can relate. If they didn't buy the magazine, they wouldn't know what on earth is going on because who is this random person suddenly doing this? So that was the idea, like just to merge both. Because I feel now, and it's quite funny that now we are going through a digital cleanse or digital purge, I think. Like you hear there are apps releasing like, how many hours do you spend on your phone? And it's like a digital detox all of a sudden. And I don't quote me on this, but I heard that bookstores, even though the major ones are closing, but print book sales are like going up.
Is it?
Yeah.
In Malaysia?
Not in Malaysia, worldwide. Like worldwide. Because suddenly like everybody just realized that there was just too much. I mean, Kindle and everything else on your phone. Everything is on your phone. So after a while, you just get tired.
Yeah. And you need like power banks for your power banks.
Sure. Speaking from experience.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, I'm only getting into the ebook scene right now because I've always been fiercely like, I like hard copy lah. I like to read hard copy stuff. I like the feeling of paper in my hand. But also I don't like to, so I get a bit like distracted. Usually when I read, I will read 2 to 3 books at a single go. So I can like, this one is maybe a different theme than this one. This one is probably a manual for something else. But carrying them around is very heavy, man.
You gotta pick wisely.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the issue is sticking with your choice. Because when you have ebook, you can have like 4 different books, right? And then you open it up, it's like, fuck, which one do I read first? Then I read like 2 pages, this one, a bit bored. Change to the next one.
Because it's so easy for you to
switch.
Right.
But if you bring in one book, like it or not, you're reading a damn book. And it's a journey between you and the author, and you're going along with it. You don't really get to choose to switch.
You're committed.
Yeah.
The common theme would be that you have to have everything digitalized, like even though you have this digital detox, Instagram even has like it tells you how much time you've been spending on Instagram per day. But even with that, I feel it would seem as though if you don't have your presence in digital, you don't have that much of a presence, or people are not going to remember you. How do you deal with that?
I completely agree. I actually had people like just organic buyers like from the States finding me on Instagram, and they actually told me like, I found you through Instagram, and which is like really, so I am not anti social media. I think I'm more anti why everything has to be online kind of thing. And I've always been a sucker for print. Like everywhere I go, wherever I travel to, I will make sure I get a copy of their local publication. Or because we don't get that many in Malaysia just yet, like there are a lot of niche publications, which is why I think, to me, there's definitely a market. There are so many independent bookstores in Milan and Portugal. They're there. It's just that Malaysia doesn't reflect that yet. Or maybe they're just not interested, but there is so I was really confident that there was a print market for a very, very specific title, because there are books on not books, sorry, magazines on just wine alone or just coffee alone. So I kind of knew like there was something to be done. It's just that the baby boomers around were kind of, no, go digital or we won't like invest in you.
But they say that because they think the Gen X, the Gen Y, the Gen Z are the one who is like always on digital, right?
No. They just like, you know how our parents now are on Facebook?
Yeah.
And we don't use Facebook anymore.
Yeah. Also, they think it's still
So
like,
they
vogue.
are kind of there for like they're a bit late adopters.
Yeah.
And then, but you get I did get a lot of people giving advice, even though so that was kind of the tough part as well. Like starting it, a lot of people would be like, oh, you're starting a magazine, it's print. Nobody reads print anymore.
Yeah.
And then they will say that, and then like after a while you get like knocked down and you come back up again, and then I had to take a step back and just think about it, cherry pick who's
advice to listen to.
Exactly. Because I was thinking like, oh, this person has never done what I actually want to do. So I would only take advice from people who have done it. Rather than the ones saying, oh.
Exactly. You gotta, even with advice and like criticism, you gotta pick and choose who you're gonna listen to.
Yeah. And sometimes even if everyone is against you, and I mean, if you feel like this is what you want to do, and you know, like the amount of times that people tell me that, yo, podcast is too long, cut it down. I'm like, I'm sure there's someone out there like me who enjoys all this long form conversation where we can take our time. Exactly. We can take our time. We can slowly go into like the meat of whatever that we're trying to explore. And since we are Teroka podcast, I think, especially like if we want to explore complex idea, I think it's not very fun to listen to question answer. Even though I get why that would be a lot more streamlined, but sometimes it's not very organic. Yeah, which is something that we don't like lah. Yeah.
So leave a comment or email Teroka if you do enjoy their long form podcast.
Yeah. We need to get our Instagram page out and our Facebook page,
which will be up by the time you listen to this.
Yes.
That's a deadline.
Yes. It's my fault. I'm supposed to get that shit sorted should get this sorted by next week. Anyways. So coming back to Plates Magazine, I find it very interesting. So before we started recording, one of the things that you said was that you worked in Australia and you wrote about salt.
It was one of the things I had to write about.
And so it was like ingredient based, is it? Like,
yeah. So what happened was this was 2010, I think. So this was after Facebook came into Malaysia. And I'm talking about like adding your friends on Facebook now, kind of thing. So there wasn't much of a let's get 200,000 followers kind of thing. It was still like very early on in the stage. So I think I was given the luxury of like just exploring content creation. And this was with a gourmet food company. So over here would be like your Jasons or your Bens, you know, they sell all these atas, the finest ingredients at a
packable,
at a high margin but beautiful packaging. So that was the thing I would write. I produce their newsletters, their marketing content online, and I just had to write about whatever they were selling. So there was this salt that was quite expensive. I think it was like $12 for salt.
What?
Must be like, you know, some special lake somewhere.
Some special
salt
treatment is like bio-organic,
double osmosis, hexagonal filter,
super vegan, clean vegan.
Sure.
Earth grows better when you buy this salt kind of thing.
Yeah.
Salt of the earth.
Salt of the earth. Do you like? It was interesting. You know why? You know why? How that phrase came about? When people like, it used to be a compliment, right? Oh, you're the salt of the earth. It's like a beautiful thing. So what was really funny, and I tie it back to rice, because salt was an important strategic material back in as close. I don't know when is the fucking Civil War, American Civil War. So I think it's about 18 something. 1776. This is when the American Civil War is, and this is when salt was an important ingredient because you can store food longer if you salt them. And so one of the key strategic thing that the North did is to find their salt mines or their salt warehouse to bomb them so that the soldiers don't get to eat, they don't get to fight so effectively, and they get to take over the place. Of course, with modern packaging and everything, salt becomes like, it'll lose its importance, but it's interesting that something so humble, salt that we use every day, have such a strategic importance. Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. I didn't know that.
And you think about the amount of war that people wage over shit like spices. Like, dude, what the fuck? You legit enslave an entire tribe so you can get black pepper.
But that was the shit.
That was the shit that people
Last
do. Yeah. So there's some white guy in somewhere, like, you know, dude, I got pepper, bro. What
you
are you
got?
using? Your potato got no taste. Yeah.
Kurang garam lah.
Ah,
So going back then
Yeah.
to your writing of salt and other ingredients, basically that led you the way to like plates. You know?
I wouldn't say that it cleared the path. It definitely made me more aware of ingredients out there because so growing up in KL, to me cheese was our processed Cheesedale craft singles. I thought that was cheese.
Yeah.
Until I
That was
went there
cheese.
and I was like, oh, you can charge $44 for a kilo of cheese. So I think that was when I know this is really cheesy to say, but my palate
all the puns come.
my palate was like a bit more matured and
Yeah.
open to other things. I think more culturally as well. So culture is also another big thing in that is part of the magazine, part of Plates. Because why Plates was because I think a lot of conversations happen over food. Like whether you like the person or not, or you just so happen to sit there or you're on the train next to them. Food just kind of takes away that barrier, whether it's political or cultural,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Like food is the common safe ground, even if you don't speak the same language.
Yeah.
Which has happened to me like many times. Food is just your interpreter.
Yeah, I can
Except if it's pork though in Malaysia.
Oh, so that is another big thing. So I was speaking to this I guess you call food anthropologist. And
food anthropologist.
yeah, she's actually really interesting. She's maybe she's not food anthropologist, but she's definitely like food culture anthropology.
Yeah.
I don't know whether she's a food.
Fascinating. Yeah.
And she's actually based in Malaysia. She's Gek Cheng Koo. I just finished reading her book called Eating Together.
Right.
And it's really fascinating how she pointed out that how in Malaysia food is kind of like your institutionalized racism. So back in the 20s, the 30s, people just go to kopitiam or whatever. You see like this Malay uncle chatting with his friend in a kopitiam because I mean, they wouldn't be eating pork there, but they are still in the same space. It's fine.
Yeah.
Whereas like, I think after the new economy policy,
Yeah.
that's when things started to change. Then it became more strict, like, oh, you need these halal rules, halal certification. You can't be in a pork serving restaurant even if you're not consuming. So that kind of split us apart, like without us even realizing, because you think of it as like, oh yeah, that's just how it is. Because honestly, I thought that's how it was. Like even in school, like, you know, your moral class, your agama class, we've already been split since we were young.
Yeah. So I think this is to take it a bit further, right? I think I had this experience that I think is reverse racism lah. Like it then culturally compounds, and then as a non-Muslim, they feel compelled to not show pork in front of their Muslim friends, which I think frankly is a bit ridiculous lah, right? Like, we know Indian people don't eat beef. Or some Indian people don't eat beef. Some Indian people don't eat pork. I mean, some Chinese people are vegetarian. Do I then have to like always be so PC and keep all my meat one section and veggie another section? Should we also start segregating in that sense? You know, and this happened during a Chinese New Year party, you know. It's kind of an office thing lah, right? Yeah. And get this, it's a Chinese New Year party, and it's not the Malays who demanded. It was a Chinese who said that, oh, we should be more sensitive. Let's keep all the alcohol at this part of the house. And you know, when we have like a potluck thing where we spread all our food out, and she take the pork, which was like, it's like if you enter the kitchen, it's the first thing you see lah. It's cereal lah. She put the cereal right at the back, you know. It's like keep away from the view. I'm like, hey dude, people can still see lah, you know. Like, what is this like weird kind of racism that you're doing to? It makes me really uncomfortable, man. So I think it's something simple, a simple policy like that can drive.
But you see, I think like you're right to mention the economic policy and all that. But then it may not have been like the aim of it was not based on the race.
Right.
I feel.
Right.
Like the whole sharing a space in the kopitiam was happening before that.
Yeah.
After that economic policy, NEP, it was probably more like a question of why do you want to go to the Chinese man's kopitiam when you have your brother's
Mama store.
kopi store.
Yeah.
Sit there. And then I feel that then slowly led to it becoming religious and it becoming an issue of halalness. But actually stemming from just like an economic thing, not a moral righteousness, religious,
But then in the book, she also discusses why is it, like you were saying, with the pork thing, why don't we do it the same why doesn't McDonald's not serve beef?
Yeah.
So it's like, why is this one race, why do you have to be more sensitive towards this one race? And then the underlying tone is because they are considered the superior race, right? Otherwise you'd be saying like, okay, whole of Malaysia, no beef, no pork.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it, like, because we don't see it, because it's so ingrained in our habits and growing up, that like, I mean, you think about your wedding, right? Where do the Malays sit at a Chinese wedding?
Yeah.
All together, right? One table, so there's no place for them to intermix with your family members and things. So food for thought.
Food for thought.
So
You're full
then,
of puns today.
somebody who, the solution finder here will come and say, let's all of us not eat pork so that,
Yeah, but
we can like coexist together.
But then you would say, hang on, in Chinese culture, like the massive pork roast, the whole piglet it's always there for whatever prayers or funerals, and it's essential as part of their culture. Hey, don't get hungry. As part of their cultural identity, I suppose.
Cultural heritage as well. I think the issue here is that where do you draw the line, right? It's a bit weird. And I think it's not just a Malaysian thing. I think it's an international thing where you have a lot of Muslim refugees who emigrated to European countries, and they feel that Islam shouldn't be criticized. I just watched a podcast before this, and there was this Muslim guy talking about the sensitivity of criticism of a religion and of their practices. And to some extent, I think some of them are quite dogmatic in holding on to the kind of point of views. So I think it's hard to... I don't know where to go. So, like, it's hard to unlodge this kind of dogmatic thinking, but at the same time that you want to start a conversation, and then people will label you as racist, sexist, or discriminatory. If it's a Muslim talking about it, then he's a heretic. They're very fiercely protective of their own religious and cultural identity. And it's hard.
And all religions, actually, not just any religion in particular. I think most religions would have this protectionism.
Well, I will argue that, in this time and era that we live in, 21st century, I think it's more of, we can see more of the Muslim in action. But if you go back, maybe 18th century is the Christians, very obviously. Yeah, the church is very powerful, and so I don't know what the future will be.
I mean, just don't let the government be involved in our eating habits.
It's true.
I mean, it's freedom of religion and belief, right? Like whether you want to fast during the month of Ramadan is up to you. It's not Jais's business.
I think that is your point of view, but I don't think that's the law though.
Yeah.
The law states that,
Yeah.
that
So
you have to fast.
yeah.
What law? Which
Sharia.
law?
So if I'm not mistaken, it's in the Quran, right? That if you are a Muslim and you're going through Ramadan, you should fast. And if you have a Muslim brother that don't fast, you should encourage them to fast. I'm not exactly sure of my interpretation. Obviously, I'm not a Muslim. I know a limited amount. But I think they have that built in. So, for instance, it's a law that says that if you steal, you should get your hand chopped off. And that's what happens in the Middle East.
It
And-
still happens.
Yeah, and to people in Saudi, they will say that you can walk down our street and feel safe. Because no one wants to be stoned, no one wants to get their hand chopped off. They still have public execution on the streets of in Saudi as well. It's very different. And I think you're right, because I think when we started doing Teroka podcast, me and Cash talked about Malaysia's cultural identity. And one of the things that I'm not happy about is that we only ever unite on food. And I feel like that's a bit too little lah. Like we've been together for 60 odd years. I think we can go beyond food, right? We can go to music, we can go to television, and hopefully it's something locally made as well, instead of like always watching Angmo or Chinese films. Because the segregation happens when, like, even myself, I'm not very Chinese, right? So I won't bond with people who are consuming a lot of Chinese media. And then suddenly there's a difference already. And the only time we buddy up and is when we eat char siu sui.
So, right, when you
Yeah.
were saying that, right, bonding over food, I feel even that is like...
Still
it's not-
shaky.
Yeah, it's not really bonding as well, because
Uh,
it's still rare to have, a session of food with all races there, eating some common food. Like you say, there would be bonding among you and your other Chinese guys who are more Chinese than you,
yeah.
in other words.
Yeah.
And you would bond over Chinese food.
Yeah.
It's still nothing to do with unity. Like
No.
racial unity, right?
Yeah.
It's just people getting together.
Yeah.
And as a kid as well, growing up in Malaysia, I didn't really eat that much of Malay food. Only till like I was in secondary school, finishing secondary school, more Malay friends. And in college, that's when I like had more Malay food. And yeah, so to some extent, food unites us, but not necessarily, I think, among the races. Don't you think so?
I would beg to differ. I mean, like, there's no
Don't have to
black.
beg.
There's no. It's not really begging. Just being polite. I would say there's no one solution. Like, it's not binary, right? Like, whether it can unite or it can even like tear us apart from our neighbor Singapore. Like, who owns the Hainanese chicken rice?
Yeah, man.
Like,
Dude.
or-
Hainan?
no.
I'm getting a bit like fired up right now because
Oh.
I watched there's a new Netflix street food. Have
Yes.
you watched that?
I saw one
conveniently left
episode.
out.
I got kind of tired of it.
Ooh.
Conveniently left out Malaysia.
Yeah, man. Like, how the fuck is Malaysia not in the fucking list? And
Well,
Singapore is, And then
some media guy didn't lobby Netflix and sell Malaysia stuff. Huh?
so I realized that Singapore organized this street food convention event. And then they got this whole thing rolling and they are marketing themselves internationally as, a street food hub. But if you've been to Singapore and you eat their street food, it's kind of like the light version of Malaysia. Right? Singapore does a lot of good things, a lot of right things, but food is not something that I feel that they have done. Street food especially. I think international food, I heard, apparently is very good. Their fine dining cuisines. Yeah.
But this is all about marketing because so I watch a lot of travel, a lot of food
Right.
shows, like just by habit. And in the past few years, I would say like I saw a lot of Singapore in it, and you can tell like if you watch until the end of the show, and then you see supported by Tourism Singapore. Like there was one, I think Samantha Brown, she did a whole episode on Singapore, and I was like, oh, this is supported by Tourism Singapore. But it was on, I think it was on
AFC?
Net Geo,
Oh,
Net
Nat
Geo
Geo.
or AFC. I can't remember the channel. but I can't remember. It was the one on Astro,
Right.
either AFC or Net Geo.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is really clever because you are getting someone from like with international presence.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you come in and show like, oh, this is what Singapore has. And again, it's the same repetition. Like people just pick up the same story and they don't bother to research beyond it, or they don't bother to question why. They just pick it up and, okay, let's make it ours now and just put our stamp on it.
But what do you think Malaysians, I mean, the tourism, why don't we do the same thing? Have you looked into
Old people in baby boomers in the, hello, look at our tourism logo. Was it last year? The one that sparked controversy. I mean,
Something from like the 90s, you know.
no, but I saw from a friend who she worked alongside Tourism Malaysia,
Right.
not for Tourism Malaysia, but as another agency, and she said that, well, they're not the most efficient. So I think like with the new government, like if we are all bothered to go in and like we're not just gonna wait for old fellas to die, like we have to go in and take up main positions because we know how to communicate our stories. It's just that maybe up there they're complacent. Like even though we have a new government, the people at the bottom are the same people, right?
And the positions on top are still not vacant for a new batch of people to come and lead the way, I think.
Yeah.
Well, slotless, a few spaces, but not as many as we would like.
But
But
think about it, it's already like a year into the new government, which is like 20% of their set time is done.
oh, now that you put it that way, 20%.
Yeah.
Okay.
A fifth of their time is already done.
I
Like,
never thought about that. Yeah, think about it that way. What's the impact, right, so far?
But I would say the media scene is definitely more free. Like since like, you can see on May 9, like the morning after, people's tone on broadcast. I heard Astro Awani the next day. They
oh yeah,
a bit more like
Fuck everything! Malaysia Baharu!
yeah. And I think that was the turning point for me also because when I was putting together plates, I wasn't very, very sure that I was going to publish it. Like for the public, I thought like, okay, maybe I'll just like, keep it on the lowdown. And because there were a lot of things speaking about institutionalized racism, like with our
I see.
Bumiputra and non-Bumiputra. And as I was editing it, this was before May 9, and I was on ground speaking to all these Lun Bawang farmers. I was like, hey, are you guys for BN or opposition? And the sentiment was still very 50-50. Like the older ones would say, well, kita tidak melawan pemerintah and we don't go against the rulers.
So also.
Yeah, but that's the older people, and then the younger ones, that's in like in their 40s, would be like, well, we've seen what they said they would do but didn't do, so then they voted the other way around. So I think like when the results came out, like I mean, I knew I already had some form of self-censorship and I was very aware of that.
Yeah.
But also I didn't want to like just self-censor, otherwise there's no point in creating plates.
Yeah, and you wanted to push.
Yeah. So like how you guys are doing long podcasts, I wanted to do long form journalism so that we would just go into one issue and go in like, so I'm not a breaking news kind of person. Like I really don't care about lifting stuff from the wires from AFP, AP and then like, oh, who's the first one to report? I would rather just wait like maybe 3 to 6 months, see how the story develops and then actually like tear it apart piece by piece, even though it's a small piece of it. But at least I understand for myself what's happening.
And you get the meat of
Yeah.
the story.
Yeah, exactly.
in this case, was like the carbs of the story.
Yes.
So your first issue was
Oh yes, on
the main
Well done, bro. The carbs of the story. Well
the
done.
main article was
so
the
the
main story.
main issue is on rice. So each is a biannual magazine, and every issue focuses only on one ingredient.
oh okay.
And so this first one is on rice, and the next issue is on durian. But coming back to rice, like you were talking about salt, like how it's so
Important, yeah.
it was important.
Yeah.
I mean, it was more important back then.
Yeah.
Like it was still a currency.
Yeah.
Like how you were saying it was humble, but now it's
Yeah.
like taken for granted, right? I think it was the same thing for rice.
Yeah.
And how I came about to choosing rice was just essentially that it was just something that we are so used to, like, you know how when growing up in an Asian household, like mother will say like, hey, finish your rice or you get pimples or something like.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I get that too.
Yeah.
And you get the farmer very hard to grow rice, you know. Have to
Yeah.
finish.
What was
I will eat
the
and
peri
become fat.
bahasa, the setiap, something like every grain of rice is the tears of the farmer. Have you heard of that?
No, I
No,
haven't.
and I'm stressed. Yeah.
It's so true. It's so true. Like food waste in general, even rice, it takes so damn long to
Yeah.
grow and process and come to you,
And not to forget, our
and
parents
then
are
you throw
poor.
it away. Like
Uh,
it's quite screwed up.
Yeah. Yeah, so I try not to waste food as well, personally. It's just, that's why I'm
Like when
fat
you
now.
look at like the economic sense of it, like the amount of energy put into that and the cost of transport to bring it from Thailand to your doorstep and cooking it, and then like it's just there. Throw it lah.
Cannot finish, don't force yourself to eat.
Eat the chicken.
Eat the meat, the protein.
Don't care about the rice.
yeah. Just ignore the carbs. Carb free.
So, now what kind of coverage did you give rice then in this in that?
So I went right down to the paddy field. Like I tried to harvest rice traditionally with the sickle, the crescent shape thing, sabit, and it took me an hour. I couldn't even get half a plate of rice. Okay,
Whoa.
That's when I realized, like, oh my goodness, this is hard work. So the farmers that I met in Long Semado, together with this collective called Langit.
This
So
is in Sarawak,
Yeah, like
Borneo.
yes. So the border of Kalimantan and the one that takes 2 days to get to.
2 days to
Door
sub
to
it.
door to door.
2 days to sub-it rice for an hour that can't even fill half a plate.
I mean, I did more
Jesus.
than that. I went to just chat with them, but I did
Yeah.
try. I think I was more of a nuisance because my boots kept getting stuck or lost in the mud, and then this auntie will come and have to rescue me, so she couldn't work. And then eventually I got the pergi main jauh-jauh thing. Like she's like, oh, go take photo of uncle. Uncle's on that side. And then when I got up, then I realized what she actually did. I was like, oh my god.
Damn smart, right?
Yeah.
Well, you were saying there's a collective called Langit.
Yeah, Langit. So how it happened was I met them at this market by chance, and that was when I knew that I was going to write about rice, but I didn't know how yet. And I think this comes back to like the whole working together instead of like, you know, the sharing knowledge thing instead of like, hey, don't copy my work. The very, again, a very Malaysian mentality. And so I just kind of introduced myself and invited myself on their next trip in. And it was really interesting because I met Lillian, she's one of the co-founders, and she was saying like, okay, 2 of my other colleagues are going to Long Semado to meet the farmers and check on the produce. You can go with them then. So I basically met up with them in KK without them knowing who I was. And it was just a very like trusting thing that because I could have been an asshole for all they know. Like I could have just gone on the trip and make it hell for them.
Yeah.
Because you are like in this confined space for so long. Like you're on the bus, on the Pan-Bornean highway for 3 hours, 4 hours. And then you get off and then you wait for your 4-wheel drive. And then you're another 4 to 5 hours in that 4-wheel drive on gravel road. Like it was a lot.
And you basically just hit them up online and like...
No, I met them in person. So I think that was the part, like I've always been a more like face-to-face type
Right.
of person. I really dislike emails.
No, but you call them up first, right?
No. I just saw them and I was just like, hey. What? That's how I roll.
God damn.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and also there was another lady. So in the magazine, I met this other that I featured. She's an organic rice farmer activist. She's in Kelantan, and again, she picked me up from Kota Baru Airport, not knowing who I was or what. I just spoke to her on the phone. So this time it was.
How do you got in touch with her?
So Melissa was another girl from Langit. She didn't really know them, but I think they briefly got in touch, and then she was like, oh, you should speak to her because she's the one who's been pushing for organic rice.
Right.
and organic like farming techniques. So I just called her twice, and she was like, "Yeah, I'll come pick you up from Kota Baru."
Oh.
Ah, there you go.
And so she just took me around to meet all the farmers, all these uncle there.
Oh, so nice.
And she ended up being my sort of translator, because Kelantanese is tough, man. Kelantanese.
Really, it's a different language.
It's a different
I know. So I was just like, what? And she was just there. She was amazing.
English.
Yeah, she spoke Malay. Like, she understands English, but we converse in Malay. And then she was just super generous with her time. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, and it was all through word of mouth. Like, even the high priestess that I interviewed, who does like rice rituals in Sabah, it was true.
Priestess and rice ritual. I wanted back up a bit, okay? Like,
Hold on.
before we go to the rice ritual, tell me a bit more about this organic farming. I was gonna ask you, like, what was this organic farming technique? And what's the difference between like?
So the organic farming technique, they don't use any agrochemical produce, which is fertilizer, no chemical fertilizers or pesticides, especially pesticides. And it's a method called SRI. I can't remember what the SRI stands for, but it's like System of Rice Intensification System. So it's like more about water irrigation.
Oh,
And
okay.
So the two farmers that I spoke to, that I interviewed, they said that their produce was like 3 times more than conventional farming. So conventional farming is the guy on the truck and just, spray. Oh, the spraying. And then there was a lot of talks about, so I went to this, I don't know how I found my way there. It was another agroecology forum in Bangi. My second time in my life going to Bangi, but so there were all these farmers who just came up and stood in front of everyone, and it was like really eye-opening and humbling. I mean, that sounds really lame, but it was true. Like, they just came up and said like, okay, I am not educated, and I just felt like, oh my god, you don't even need to tell us that. Like, we are all the same. And then they would say, I'm just here to tell you about my experience as a farmer. And this man like pretty much almost broke down, because she was just talking about how this lady in her 30s died due to pesticide exposure. So pesticide exposure, you can be exposed to it through skin, like, or airborne. So just inhaling. So if you're a kid and you're growing up next to a paddy farm that's using pesticides, that's it. Like, it's in your water, it's in your food also.
It's in the air.
It's in the air, and you can't wash it off. So there's a study also from Harvard Medical saying, I think the sperm count in men, listen up, and the fertility in ladies also decreases when
if you eat the rice.
Not they didn't use rice, but they used fruits and vegetables. So one was eating organic and the other one was eating like conventionally grown produce, and then they found that it does reduce your fertility rate.
Damn.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna assume that these produce are cheaper.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, you're talking about the pesticides.
Yeah.
One. Yeah. I mean, you go to any grocery store, you see organic section is at least like 25-30% more, at least. Yeah.
So I can crack up some, conspiracy theory. The rich people are trying to thin out the poor people. I mean, that's essentially what's gonna happen, lah. Because if your sperm count is lower and you are from a poor economic class, whether intended or not, that's the sad reality. Yeah, that's a sad reality. And 30 years old, and she passed away from pesticide exposure.
30-ish, yeah. I mean, and it's all about like blood poisoning also. So it gets into your blood system, like that's it.
So I'm a bit anti-government in some ways, and I have to ask, like, are these pesticides subsidized by the government?
They get the last time I checked, they do get a subsidy which they can use for agrochemical products. And when I went to the farms in Long Semado in Sarawak, they actually said like, they gave us this, they as in the government or whoever, the Ministry of Agriculture there, gave them a lot of what do you call it, fertilizer. So they had it by the bags. Like they were like, oh, kita boleh buat benteng, can build a fort because they don't use it. And the thing is, it's also about education. A lot of the farmers, some of the farmers that we met say like, oh, do you use pesticide? No. But then when you ask them like, do you use fertilizer? And then so there's another thing that they call ubat. They think it's ubat medicine that they put before planting, but actually it's more of a weed killer. But they wouldn't know because somebody comes to you and say like, hey, this one very good. Like you don't know what's happening and you don't trust. And then there's another issue of this was a very serious issue discussed at the forum that people were making, people as in farmers were just creating their own cocktail, pesticide cocktails.
Their own blend.
Yeah, their own blend because they don't know what is what and they don't know the measurements. And when they get the products itself, it's all in the labeling. Also, like it doesn't tell you what will happen if you put too much. Correct. Or if you put it incorrectly.
And like, people who are farmers, not to be like, insulting them, but a farmer is not going to be reading nutritional facts and like, what not to do.
Yeah.
He's going to be doing what he knows and like.
I mean, at the end of the day, he just wants to, the output.
Rice,
yeah,
right?
He just want to make rice and sell rice.
I think the whole subsidy thing and pesticides definitely with the governments, like they have a control of it. They have all this agriculture development authority and all that.
And they know who's the...
surely have, lobbied.
Yeah.
People lobby to them to carry my product.
Exactly.
You subsidize this product.
And I mean, if the sales guy for these companies are good and the people in the government are not doing what they're supposed to do with their own independent research and etc., I mean, they just get sold and then a bunch of farmers get some rubbish in the soil and then we are eating, like it affects us, right? And then,
of course,
we can't have kids unless you buy organic rice, right?
If it's really organic, also.
Yeah, because like I would imagine. So coming back to the organic farming, where the guy claims that it's 3 times more output, I would imagine if that is really the case, everyone should be jumping on the damn train.
But they don't know. So it's really complicated to switch from... Well, it's not too complicated, but from a farmer's perspective, it's your rice bowl, literally, because for your soil to regenerate, it takes 2 years. So you can't say like, hey, tomorrow if I don't use pesticide, I'm organic. No, like you have to wait 2 years to get the certification from... It's called My Organic in Malaysia, a government like certification. And this thing that had, like, there's a lot of paperwork and they have to come in, like, I think every 6 months or something like that to like test whatever chemical.
But can they change their irrigation method and slowly wean off the pesticide? Is that an option?
Yeah, it is an option. It's just that the 2 years is a standard. Like they have to wait 2 years. And so there's another certification called MyGap, which actually encourages the use of pesticide.
What?
And it takes...
These 2 organizations are government organizations.
Yeah. MyGap and My Organic. So MyGap takes shorter time. I think, was it like a year? I can't really remember this, but it's in the magazine, guys. Go buy it and read it. It's on platesmagazine.com.
Yeah.
And basically, I would say like, it's not as strict for MyGap. So basically what MyGap is, I'm sure if you go to the supermarket later, you can check. It's meant to say that this produce has had enough pesticides or enough chemical products applied to it that is labeled safe. And safe being the key loophole. So that's what MyGap is. And they were actually promoting it. So I went to their Facebook page. I went to check whether maybe this year they have a new revelation. But no, they were actually promoting this MyGap certification over My Organic.
It's so confusing.
To say that, you know, although you use pesticides, you're using like a safe amount.
Yeah.
Versus My Organic that says no pesticides at all. 0 pesticides, is it?
Yeah, it's organic, it's no chemical.
It's so confusing from the government to have like 2 prongs though that opposes each other. Because I mean, logically as a consumer, I would think that if the pesticide one is safe, then the organic one, what's the value?
Exactly.
What is the government trying to tell me then? Organic or no organic? Or organic for rich people?
You're still going on that.
Yeah, with tinfoil hat on.
Maybe you should do a survey. How many rich people buy organic produce?
No, because when the GST they first implemented it, so you have the zero rice and the exempt item, right? If I'm not mistaken, the lobster it falls under that exempt, not zero rice, exempt. So I'm like, is staple meh? Who the fuck is eating lobster except for rich assholes?
Well,
So you see how they fuck around with all your legislation to benefit a certain group of people? Yeah. So, tinfoil hat. Something to think about. Yeah. And I eat rice every day. So now I'm like, shit. Do I buy the... Okay. I think...
Brown rice, man.
I think here's the funny
black
thing.
rice. Black rice is the way to go.
Black rice.
So
Yeah.
there are many different rice.
Keep
My
it raw,
mom
man.
seemed to...
No.
How about cauliflower rice, bro?
Ew.
It's not that
Rice
bad,
also?
actually.
But how can they call it rice if it's cauliflower? It's
I know,
just
right?
masquerading. Like,
It's
look at
like
me.
mash.
I'm a grain.
What's black rice?
Yeah.
It's black rice lah. What else is
Rice
it?
that is black
That
in
is
colour.
black, and then when you cook it, it turns like a beautiful shade of purple.
Okay, wait. So another thing is white rice.
Yeah.
Is that artificially made white?
No. So all white rice were once brown.
But is that brown because of the husk or
It's the
because
husk,
of like
yeah.
the rice itself will be brown?
No, it's the husk. It's the peri cap. So like after you take out the skin thing, the one that you can't eat, then it's brown. So you polish it. So essentially, white rice is polished.
Polished rice.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what I hear, yeah. But like polished in the sense of I'm applying another color on it?
No.
Or like
I'm taking
that
off. I'm taking off the brown.
Why do they take off the brown though?
You're asking
White
me
is good,
aesthetics.
man. White means
Yeah,
nice.
white
means
supremacy.
clean. White means
White privilege. Eat white rice, get white privilege.
white privilege.
This is a thing now. Huh?
What is this?
White privilege. White power.
Oh.
It's because Donald Trump liked to do this a lot. And
You oh the
yeah. And now apparently if you do this, you're a racist, you're a Nazi.
what?
Yeah. So
But you do this underwater when you're diving. You show that
Ooh,
you're
it's just
okay.
another way for the white power
yeah.
supremacists.
Look
to
at you,
create
ignorant and
power.
all, ignorant Asians doing this. Oh,
Underwater,
you have no
especially.
shame, not progressive even. Come on, man, you Malaysians. You disgust me.
Oh.
So after doing this rice story, then did you any changes in your habits or any changes to the way you look at rice or the way you buy rice?
Oh yeah, immediately. Like because I was living with the farmers themselves. Also, I ate a lot more rice there. I'm pretty sure I put on 3 kilos because the rice there is so good. Like the Adan rice.
What's Adan?
Adan is that your barrio. So it's the type
Of
species
rice.
of rice.
Okay.
Like how basmati, and then you have
Yeah.
you have Adan,
Wangi.
Beras,
Yeah.
don't know.
Jasmine. No, that's brand. Actually, I have no idea. Like my mom would come back and tell me like, boy, eat some basmati rice. It's different from other rice. It's
basmati-
good.
Yeah, it's,
It's
lower
healthier.
in GI. It's good for like people who are diabetic.
Oh.
I mean, it's better than normal white rice. But yeah.
Because it's Indian. Yeah. But, yeah, you see a difference. Basmati rice is like really thin and long,
Yeah.
and Japanese rice is like
It's the
Short
short
and
and
fat.
short.
Yeah. So there's a long grain and short grain. I learned this.
Yes,
from my
you
plates.
can
Yeah.
read it in
There's
Plates
like how many?
magazine.
5 different types or 4 different types, I remember.
There are actually like thousands and thousands, but in the
Oh.
magazine there's only like
The long grain,
5.
short grain.
yeah, long, medium, and short, and then
Ah.
there's the color variation. But actually, like there are, I think, thousands, more than tens of thousands of species of rice.
It's really cool. So
it's a lot.
everybody around the world can grow different kind of rice.
Yeah.
I should read it. Where I grew up, the closest paddy field to my house is like less than 5 minutes by car.
Yeah, he's from
Where?
Sungai Petani, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
Oh.
Literally one straight road, I follow, take a right, and I can see paddy field.
Paddy field.
Have you been on the paddy field?
Not like as a learning thing lah.
But
Just,
as a
like,
thing,
walked on
As a
the-
romantic thing? Like bring your
to
girlfriend
catch
there back then.
fish, catch frogs.
Just
Ah,
like,
bring your sickles,
exploring.
steal some rice.
Just Teroka,
Ooh,
catch some eels there. No.
Oh,
Yeah,
some
so
unagi.
That's what I would see a lot at the market in Sungai Petani, right? Morning market, evening market. They have a lot of this belut there. And only later on in my life, I associated the belut actually comes from the paddy fields. And it's like
Are there still
industry, you know?
Are there still eels in the paddy fields now?
Yeah, in the
Okay.
paddy fields. So these guys will catch these eels
Okay.
from the paddy fields.
How do they get there though?
So belut.
God,
They
lah.
make this.
Yeah. That's what the farmers, they catch like katak, ikan, frogs, fish, eel.
But how does the eel get there though?
No idea, man. I mean,
So I get the frog. I get the frog. I get
no idea,
the
man.
fish.
I mean, how do fish come in lakes?
But they irrigate the water, right? I think, like, doesn't it?
I guess. Sometimes maybe they also put in like, you know, eel seeds. Or
What?
I don't know. I'm just guessing here. It could
Eel
be-
seeds?
It could be a
Sounds like sea
symbiosis
monkeys.
thing, you know, where
Yeah.
the eels help do something to the soil, or their shit is good for the rice.
Or they eat the.
Maybe we can do a whole episode on that. Like, how do fish arrive in our pond or paddy field?
from God.
Was not expecting that, bro. From God. God put him there. Dude. Yeah, sorry. So going back to nasi. And I see there's many different ways to enjoy nasi. Can make it into wine. Can make it into pachang. Yeah, and the priestess story. Yeah, tell us more about the priestess story.
Okay, so the priestess story actually happened around this time last year. I was in Sabah,
Okay.
Kota Kinabalu, the capital. And because their harvest season, so Tadao Kaamatan is this month. I mean, usually back in the day, the high priestesses would choose the date, like they would determine the date again based on, I guess, the moon. I'm not quite sure whether they follow lunar calendar or not, but
So the priestess are kind of like astrologers. Something like that.
it's more like, not to say shaman, but like you would go like a high class shaman, I guess, because like they don't call themselves shaman, like they don't use all these.
Smoke and
Yeah, that was kind of funny because when I was at the high priestess's house. Okay, so this is where it gets complicated. So you have to read it in the magazine also. His name is Adam, but even though he is called a high priestess, so there's a disparity there.
fluidity there.
Fluidity. I'm not quite sure how you call it, but basically he wears the female high priestess's baju because his
So the high priestess is a he.
yes.
And he cross-dress.
I wouldn't say cross dress. I mean,
because
his sensei, his teacher, was a female. So he says that the things that he inherited from her, like all these things that have like spirits in it, because they believe like everything has a spirit in it. Yeah,
mythic,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, and that it's a female spirit in all of them, and there's a lot of things. So basically, I was at his house, and he just had this whole. And again, this person has never met me,
Holy shit,
but
this is a
invited
great
me.
documentary, like,
Yeah, right?
content.
Yeah.
But invited me to his house. I mean, usually you think like, oh, let's meet in a cafe. But the reason, so he told me like he didn't want to meet in a restaurant because of all the stuff he was going to show me. So he had all these like swords and all these things, I think there was only like one bone. Maybe it was like
Bone of what?
tooth of sun bear. Tooth of a sun bear.
Sun bear.
Yeah, you know we have sun bears in
I'm gonna
Malaysia.
Google
It's
that
the
right
black cute bear.
It's like
Oh.
a heart shape there.
Okay, yeah, I've seen this guy before. Yeah,
Yes. We
he's
have
cute.
sun bears.
Yeah.
So they are they of like a traditional religion, like
Yeah, so the
Christianity- are they
Kadas.
Christians
No.
or-
They're
their own thing.
yeah, their own belief. The Kadazan Dusun belief. So or Dusun. Well, this is a whole different
right.
Dusun or Kadazan Dusun. I mean, that's a whole different argument already. But anyway, it's a animism, however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
But because again, religion came into play, so not many people do this anymore. So the person I interviewed is possibly the last of his generation. Because this knowledge, it's verbal, it's all like oral and oral, like you just have to, like, back in the olden days, you listen and you don't take notes. There's there's no like buku rujukan, no reference book for you to, this is what you do.
It's the SOP.
Yeah, yes,
So it's kinda
exactly.
like you have to inherit the spirit of the action
And it comes to you in a dream as well. So like you can't just say like, I'm gonna be a high priestess. No, it has to come to you in a dream.
Do they partake in any ayahuasca, any kind of?
No, I think that's more just Latin America. I mean, I heard about this root, but I'm pretty sure that's not part of
their culture as well.
The root is used like to keep, like to hold the spirits. It's called the komburongo. But I heard that you can make it into a tea, but this is from another person.
Oh.
So I don't know where you can get like high on it, but I know that it's not part of their ritual.
Yeah, okay.
But basically, so this rice ritual is called the Magavao.
Right.
And back in the day, this was what Kaamatan, the harvest festival, was all, it centered around this, because you're giving thanks to their, I guess you call like spiritual person.
Like the deity. Not really.
Guess. I mean, it's based on like their beliefs.
Not really
Like,
gods, right? It's
yeah.
like in crude terms, like today you call like Datuk, like the spirit of that jungle.
But
Sometimes
they do have a
shrines of,
name for it, like Kinoingan. I can't really pronounce it, but I can write it. So basically, it's about this man. So there was like a famine. This is based on their story and belief. Like there was a famine and there was no food for anyone. So he sacrificed his daughter on the paddy field.
Please carry on.
And that's how they got good harvests. So every year they thank the spirit of
the sacrificed daughter and the father who has to.
Yeah. So that's basically it. But then obviously now it's a bit different where it's become a bit more modern. So now there is a like pageant, a beauty pageant, Unduk Ngadau, which celebrates the daughter that was
sacrificed.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. And then they have karaoke sessions also.
So
I mean, there's a
cute.
singing competition, but the thing is, the criteria is you have to be able to sing in your ethnic language, and so not many people can speak.
Damn.
So, I mean,
You have to be OG.
it's a whole mix of things.
Yeah. It's actually very.
Of course, just to touch on that whole ceremony thing, that it also revolves around rice wine. They make rice wine.
Yeah, rice wine
I
is
know Gawa in
offered.
Sarawak is all about rice wine, but Kaamatan.
It's there. They offer it to the spirits. Like, so they had this chicken and then they had eggs. Like, kind of a bit like the Chinese thing we're used to, the Taoist belief. So they had offerings of a lot of things, and part of it was rice wine as well. But,
Wow.
and then I also just had some rice wine with the high priestess during our interview.
As you would.
As you would.
Have to respect the culture, bro.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting to.
Rice wine is also very good in noodles, by the way. Chicken noodles.
Chicken noodles.
Yeah, ginger rice wine. Rice wine and chicken noodles. It's good stuff.
Getting hungrier and hungrier. But all these things, you just went there, met the guy, and he just opened up and brought you through.
So I
all
didn't
this.
meet the person like off the
Yeah.
bat, like how I did with Langit or the other Kelantanese lady. What happened was, one of my best friends, she's from Sabah, but she grew up in KL. So, I mean, Sabah by connection. And basically, we just put it out to all her family chat groups, everybody's chat groups. Okay, my friend is looking for a Bobo Hizan, which is what you call the high priestess of the Kadazan Dusun. Yeah, but different tribes have different names. So like Tobilung the Tobilung tribe calls their high priestess Bobo Lian. So there are many, many terms. And again, like just going back to the knowledge passing thing, you can't really pass on the knowledge from different tribes because it's different tradition.
Yeah.
Even their outfits are different. So it's just another thing because I saw there were a lot of other Bobo Lians compared to Bobo Hizans. But again, like the reasoning was that you can't mix your sermons or whatever you call it.
Yeah, man. No cultural appropriation right here.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy that like all this is Malaysian, but like,
But we
Yeah,
don't learn
it's
about
so diverse.
we don't know so much.
Yeah.
We do have a lot to offer. Like when I was so did you know that our rainforest is actually older than the Amazon? I didn't know this until recently.
I didn't know this.
I was so underwhelmed in the Amazon. I was there 2 years ago.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, I gotta go to the Amazon. So I was in the Ecuadorian side of it. And then I
I
saw...
heard they are turning into a soy farm. Sorry, you.
Huh? Really?
Yeah, they are chopping the Amazon forest now to grow soy.
Which part of... Which...
Oh,
Brazil?
I think I don't have my facts. I don't have my facts, but
okay.
they're doing
Oh,
that.
that's really sad.
Yeah,
But you said you got to Amazon. And
yeah,
like,
and
I wasn't very impressed, I was just like, it looks like Sarawak. And then so my guide was... And the interesting part was the people there in Ecuador look like Malaysians. Like typical... It's quite funny, like as in like Malaysians or like mix... Maybe Peranakan or whatever. Because there were moments when I woke up in Ecuador thinking like, hey, why is this person speaking Spanish? I'm like, because they really look...
But we are very similar, in terms of like location and of course then the climate,
yeah,
way of life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah.
and we all started brown.
and we all started brown.
Yeah, so when I was in the Amazon, the guide was showing me like, look at this big tree. And then there were 2 other Dutch tourists. Oh my God. And I was like,
Malaysia also got-
we have bigger ones. That was like, I was just like, this is not that impressive. And then when I saw their anaconda, I wasn't very impressed. I was just like, oh, our python is bigger.
Yeah, our python is bigger apparently. And yeah, I saw a Nat Geo documentary on it.
So I was so underwhelmed by like everything, and it's because of all the advertising and marketing that has gone into
Yeah.
it. Talking about Amazon.
They
But
made a
then
movie of it, right? And the Amazonians, Anaconda.
I thought Anaconda. I watched Anaconda.
Yeah, I was scared as shit as a kid watching that.
What? It was so bad.
And I
The
don't think
CGI.
Yeah, but still.
Not only Sarawak and Borneo rainforest, I just googled it, and Taman Negara
Yeah.
is like the oldest rainforest,
In the world.
tropical rainforest in the world,
What's up, Malaysia?
Compared to Sabah Sarawak.
even compared to South Sarawak.
Well, there we go.
Madness.
It's right in our backyard, and we go. I mean, people like me go all the way there and realize,
Yeah, but it's marketing, right? And it's one of the things that, obviously the Ang Mo would come all the way here and we would want to go all the way there. We don't want what's in our backyard because it's not cool.
yeah.
Outside is cooler. Like I said, I've been to the Amazon forest, bro.
Taman Negara next week.
Anytime can go, that one. And then you never go.
Yeah, when I was younger. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Are there a lot of leeches?
I've never been bitten by a leech. Like,
Lucky you.
yeah. So I mean, I'm sure there are leeches. Just
Yeah, that's why I'm a big pussy. I get afraid of leeches, so I never want to go. But I should go.
Huh.
Yeah.
Man, like,
Dude, I'm like always like, I want to go Taman Negara, I want to camp out there, and then I heard like got a lot of leeches. What? Oh, okay, never mind. It's
we'll
fine.
give you some salt, okay?
The thing is that when I just don't like, I went to KK, where is this? Kota Kinabalu at the foothill, and I remember walking into one of the trails, and then I saw something like this crawling over really quickly, like it just smelled blood inside. I was like, what the like fuck the trail then. I was just like, go back into my warm little cozy little apartment.
What?
A cozy little house, yeah.
What a waste of time.
I know, right?
Jeez.
Shouldn't have been such a
it's not for everybody. I mean, watch some documentaries, get the same knowledge.
Without going there. Yeah. That's the same argument that I make with some of my friends, like who wants to go to Everest. I'm like, just watch a documentary, bro. Like I don't want to die. Yeah. Like people legit die and they become landmarks in Everest. You know, left green boot, left at the green boot. Like that's what they do. Yeah, it's pretty freaky, man.
But we lost one of our climbers also recently.
Really?
Yeah. He was rescued from Annapurna. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and then he died in hospital.
Oh shit.
Like at first, like he was on front page, like, oh, this guy survived, rescued, and then a few days later, he didn't make it.
Damn.
So
It is a risk. I mean, like,
Yeah, but
climbing KK is a risk. What about Everest? You know?
yeah, but I suppose that's the fun, right? You might actually die and then you feel like a badass when you come back.
Ooh.
Yeah. And you're like, you can shit on all the people who run 10K marathon and tweet, people who run 10K and then they do Insta stories, I survived. And then you can shit on them, like, come on. But going back to the Amazon. So the other day I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast with Graham Hancock, who is a journalist. And what I thought was very fascinating was that as they are clearing the Amazon for soy fuel, right, to make soybeans soy fuel, they found pattern on the ground that indicates that there was a civilization that lived in the Amazon. Now, previously people thought the Amazon no one would live there because it's not very habitable and people generally don't exist before the 13,000 year. That's what they believe. That's what archaeologists... 1300. Because they think that the world history start on this part, this big mass here. The New World, the history of the New World only start after people went there by boat. And that is not true because when there was a great ice age, people actually traveled through... there was a path that you can go all the way to the New World. Yeah. And what happened is that they suspect that it's a cataclysmic event that wipe out the Amazonians and then forests regrew, which they never trace. Now, what I ask about ayahuasca is that they found out that people in the Amazon, there was there's some traces of all this geometric pattern that is very consistent with the people who take ayahuasca and what they see. Well, ayahuasca is basically DMT, which is dimethyl. I don't know how to pronounce it. Something tryptamine lah, yeah. And when people go on that kind of journey, they will see a lot of all these geometric patterns. And I'm just wondering, like, whether even in Sarawak they have that kind of tradition. Because when I think about it, right, if you think about it, where do all this, like, who is the first guy who became priestess or the priest and designed the shirt to wear, had the vision, and come up with a dance? Like, he has to do all that thing.
True, but I think it's like an evolution thing, that the first guy maybe didn't wear such like a ornate kind of clothing or costume.
And then there's a drought.
And then, the next guy adds a little bit of fluff, takes a little bit out, and like...
Put some in.
It just
this will please the god.
Evolves and evolves.
Yeah. And the sacrificing of a child apparently has been quite a staple in human history. At the highest, I think it was the Aztec that sacrificed 25,000 people a year to please the gods. And I was like, holy shit. They don't do a dance, do they? Like, culturally, it's just very fascinating to me. It's like, we can be so far apart, but bulk of the things that we do sometimes seem to be more or less the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. And our human experience don't really divide us so much as it unites us, I feel.
Yes. I mean, if you look at the ethnic groups in Taiwan, you can see a lot of the costumes, I mean, their traditional outfits. You can kind of relate it to our Sarawak beading and... Yeah, if you just look at it, like the headdress and all, you think that it's Malaysian, but then actually it's...
Taiwanese.
It's Taiwanese.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and they make rice wine too.
Do they?
Pretty good rice wine I bought. Yeah, the last time I was in Taiwan. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So, very similar. But I guess rice, and people are looking for things to do with rice wine. With rice, come up with rice wine.
Yeah.
The other cool thing is this pulut kind of a thing, right? Which they ferment as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's called tapai here.
or tumpong. So I think
Tumpong.
tapai, I think, is it Sarawak?
So tapai, they call it
Yeah.
in Sarawak as
Yeah.
well. In Indonesia, they call it tape. Tape.
Oh.
And this is basically fermented rice wine with pulut. And
So you add the pulut in after, or is it during the
So I think-
fermentation?
Wow. I'm not so sure. But
Okay.
basically, I think they soak the pulut, which is a kind of rice, right?
Yes, glutinous rice.
They soak it in this liquid, which will ferment.
Water and yeast.
I guess ragi, right? Whatever.
Yeah,
ragi
yeah,
they use,
yeast.
which would ferment, and then you would have this sharp tasting, pungent smelling pulut rice.
And you actually eat the rice?
You eat the rice.
Yeah. Apparently
Have
there's
you
a
ever come across tapai
I
in
mean,
Malaysia?
I've
You can go to
drank-
Shah Alam and get cendol
I've
with
drank
tapai.
tapai, but I've drank it at a wedding, but I never ate it.
I just always assume it's
So if you
pulut.
drink, I think it'll be tuak that you are drinking, right?
Yeah, so no, I haven't eaten.
So tapai is like, it usually comes in wrapped in banana leaf.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
And the
Nope.
main ingredient is beras pulut and ragi.
Glutinous rice. But you
And
can also have
yeast.
like cassava tapai as well, which is the same thing lah. They just ferment it.
Yeah.
What's interesting though is that it's very popular in Malaysia and Indonesia. You can, a lot of cendol places here
Yeah.
have cendol pulut.
Yeah,
or
cendol
you can
pulut.
have cendol tapai.
I didn't know that.
I
Where do
didn't
we
know-
get
Yeah.
cendol tapai?
Yeah, especially like not your mama cendol guy. Has to be a Malay
Yeah.
cendol guy. He would have tapai usually.
But
what's
it doesn't-
interesting is that it's fermented, and that I'm sure there is some alcohol content in this, but it is a cultural thing.
Yeah, like
That is
air
accepted.
nira.
Like air nira. Another thing,
Yeah,
and
toddy.
Indonesia, the largest Muslim country like by population. Tapai is like just another thing. You go to like a warung kopi and there's tapai on the table for you to like eat like otak-otak here, you know. And they say don't eat too much because then you get a little bit pening.
And that pening is basically you get
baffles
higher.
me.
Yeah.
I don't understand like how did this become an acceptable thing?
Gonna ask the old people, I guess. Like exceptions.
Would you be doing an entire issue on pork? Do you think?
I haven't decided yet.
Yeah.
I mean, until I find a story or a few stories that I can tie into pork, then yeah, I don't see why not.
Because briefly you talk a bit about, I think this was before we started recording, we talked a bit about discrimination in the food industry as well, and rice farmers between the boomi and the non-boomis, there's a different price to pay to enter the
Yeah,
industry.
so not necessarily, it can be just you and me as well. Like if we decide to start up a rice processing company, the difference between a Bumi Putra and a non-Bumi Putra to get the lesen, I think was it lesen borong, the wholesale license, is between 150,000 for the non-Bumi and 100,000 ringgit for the Bumi. And then if you want a kilang commercial padi, so like whatever paddy commercial mill
to polish your rice.
it's 200,000 for the non-Bumi and 150 for the Bumi. So it's a lot of money. If you're going to run
Yeah,
your
man.
own business, 50,000 is not just, oh, here's an extra 50 ringgit.
And
It's-
comparatively, you're like 50% worse off than the other guy, or like 30%.
Yeah,
yeah.
a bit around there.
I mean, I don't see why. I mean, you're producing food for,
People.
it's not like, okay, Boomies will buy this rice and non-Boomies will buy this rice. So,
Well, just to be devil's advocate, it could be that predominantly farmers are Bumiputras. So it should be cheaper for them
Because they are
to
poorer.
produce their own, to go further down the value chain.
but the thing
No,
is,
but what's the point of the policy though?
yeah.
Like, why am I giving extra handout to one group of people versus another group? Must be because I think they are disadvantaged in some way, right? I think that's always been the argument.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been Mahathir's argument, at least. Malay people are stupid. Malay people are not as competitive. Yeah, I'm guessing that's where it's coming from. But it's not really fair. I mean, if you're a farmer, you're likely falling under the poor demographic anyway.
Yeah, and it's unlikely you would have 100,000 to start with anyway.
Yeah.
So I think what I was looking at was more the social enterprise langit
Right.
that was like, for them, they are trying, like, these guys are legit, like, you know, those people who say like ethical whatever farm to table things, like these
Fair
guys
trade.
yeah, fair trade, there you go. Like, these guys are legit. They've been working with these farmers before langit even started, so they were doing like water gravity systems for them, and then just somehow like fell in love with the space and the people, and the community, and that's how they and so they are doing good stuff. Like, they are pretty much the bridge between the kampong and us here, like the urban spenders who can afford to pay for their
The
rice.
But what is being done in terms of the discrimination that all these
So
farmers
if they,
face?
so how they want to help these farmers is like they need all these licenses and things. So to get those certain licenses, depending when they want to scale, like that will be an issue for them, and it's something that they've mentioned. So I'm not sure where they are today, like in terms of their licensing, but that was one of the main things, like especially as a startup, like you do not have, no matter how much seed funding you have, you're not going to put 100,000 just into licensing. You're going to do other things. You're going to open your processing center or put it towards the machinery. I mean, it's just a hindrance to the people who legit want to do something honest for
Yeah.
the food industry that is applicable to everyone in the country.
Yeah, so if it exists in rice, right, I wonder if it exists in pork as well, because pork is so controversial. And I didn't know this happened, honestly. Obviously, I'm quite ignorant about a lot of things.
No, but you
And-
wouldn't have thought to look
Yeah.
into it because you're not going to open a kilang padi, right? Kilang
Yeah, no, I
processed
mean,
padi.
I just thought that from a macro perspective, of course, the government have this rule that in every listed company there must be X amount of boomies and if you want a contract from government, you need to have X amount of boomies in your company, and it's better if that guy is the face to face the client. Like all this, I was aware because I was in the corporate industry, but coming to, I suppose I shouldn't be surprised lah. But I was just really shocked that these guys are farmers though. They won't have that much money to pay for the difference. Like even let's say if he wants to expand into a mill, yeah, like you said, like the 50,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a huge sum. Shit. Yeah.
It doesn't also just necessarily have to be between like bumi, non-bumi thing. Because in Malaysia, correct me if I'm wrong, I was just like trying to verify some facts, but Bernas, which is,
Beras Padi Nasional Malaysia.
there you go. Bernas has a monopoly to import.
Had a monopoly, but yes.
Had.
I mean,
They're
just
using it now,
just
right?
just
They're
yeah.
using it now, and there was like an arrangement with local rice millers to sell the rice to them at a fixed rate per metric ton. I think it was $2,000, regardless what your cost is. And in many cases, like these millers, the rice kilangs would have costs of higher than 2,000 a ton, especially if they don't own their own paddy farms, paddy fields. But this, like, you know, could be a boomy guy, a non-boomy guy, same discrimination faced because of this Bernas issue, where they would have to sell it at a loss and like no choice.
So this is like cronyism. It's like cronies.
It's a monopoly lah, by
It is.
like an institution.
Yeah. So the government, which formed because they're supposed to protect business from monopolizing and exploiting consumer, have taken the role to exploit consumer themselves.
Which they have now ended or are ending.
Ending-ish. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you like during your in your story there? Did
Oh,
this-
yes,
this
yes.
just
There's
come up?
plenty of this on the rice monopoly.
And even people in
Yeah.
Sarawak are affected by this.
Yeah. So the rice monopoly affects, like, so we were talking about barrio rice earlier, right? So there was one media article I saw saying, Bernas was saying, oh, barrio rice is so sought after, but we don't have enough to export. And they were saying, they just quoted, this is how much we had. But from just my field work alone, like, I saw like barrels and barrels of unused, unmilled, like really good quality rice, adan rice, which is essentially the same as barrio rice. Although people in barrio may get angry at that, but yeah, so there was plenty of rice, and I asked them like, Auntie, have you heard of Bernas? I'm like, oh, Bernas, what is that? Bernas apa tu? Like, they don't know. Like, so obviously if you're a big company, you're not gonna travel 2 days again to go and find these farmers. You're gonna find the one in Sekinchan, right? Or the one that's closest to the airport. And so these guys are missing out. Like, they have all this like good quality rice, which is better than your jasmine or whatever you've been buying at home. But I guarantee you, like, because you can eat it without soya sauce. Like, that's how good it is. Where was I going with
They
this?
just like the
rice is just
don't have attention.
Yeah. So the rice is just there. And so who gets to eat it? The pigs, the chicken.
Walao, high class pig and
Yeah.
chicken, bro.
Because what else are they going to do? Because when you harvest the new rice in January, the beras baru is a bit more fragrant, I heard, for the first 3 weeks. So obviously, if that's yours, you're going to eat the new rice, right? So what are you going to do with the old rice? It's just there and no one's buying it. So that's how the social enterprise is like buying up based on the quality control also, and then selling it to us over here.
I see.
Yeah.
Huh.
So the rice monopoly, like, it goes very deep, man.
It's very interesting. I think like rice must be one of our biggest agriculture products in
Yeah.
Malaysia.
Yeah,
Maybe
and the
second biggest after palm oil. Could be.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, but we don't rank that high on the global
globally.
list. Yeah, like I think like China. I think Malaysia is not even top 10. It's China, Thailand. I can't remember.
Because at the end of the day, even though with all that rice that we grow, we still import rice.
yeah. So
We
that's
still have to import.
That's the thing, like, but there's so much over there that we all don't know about, and the rice quality is better than the commercial rice that you get. So
damn. I mean, I'm just reading this off Bernama. just as recent as March 2019, that rice millers are still facing the same thing. They are mulling to end it, but obviously Pakatan hasn't done anything yet. And what's interesting is that the president, Muhammad Termizi Yok, of the Malay Rice Millers Association of Malaysia, has said that there's 203 mills which were operating before, but only 15 are still operational in Perak, Kedah and Perlis today.
15.
15 only, because they sell rice to burners at 2,000 per ton, but the cost is 2,080. So they suffer loss and they have to continue to borrow.
oh my god.
I don't know. I think this is a very simple problem to solve, honestly. Stop the thing lah.
Stop monopoly, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, like, there's huge amounts of money
Yeah.
that Bernas obviously lobbies to.
Yeah,
the
so-
government, right?
I think I've spoken about this before in previous episodes, and it's always when you start to have a bit of corruption, right? And let's just say speculate only, okay? Not accusing. Allege like Bernas is doing something funky. Then Bernas, of course, hire a lot of fuckers, and of course, a lot of fuckers some will be overpaid. Very disgustingly overpaid, and some people are just a normal wage worker, and then now you have an entire wage bill to pay, and the government can't just take it away, can't just remove the monopoly, because you need to find a new competitive edge before you remove, because otherwise a lot of people are gonna lose their job, a lot of people are gonna die, and then now you're stuck with a weird problem, because it's a difficult decision to tell a lot of people that you're going to lose your job. And then you can't make those people who are disgustingly well paid to quit, because they also have a lot of power and political political will. It's a fucked up situation.
And it's up to the consumers.
So what should the consumer do?
For now, you can buy from independent rice farmers.
Okay.
So at the back of the issue, there's just a few independent farmers, or you can support people like Langit, or just find out where your rice or whatever produce you're buying, just find out where it comes from. Like, even better if you know which farm or who grows it, like, it's just simple changes. Like, instead of going to the supermarket, maybe you go to your pasar pagi and then you just buy from... Okay, the ones in Bangsa is definitely middleman, but if you're outstation, like, for sure, you can buy, like...
Straight from the source.
Yeah, straight from the source. Or just support... Like, it goes for anything.
Support local.
Yes. It goes for anything. Anything that you buy. Like, just...
Get your local produce.
Yeah. Yeah, I just bought, like, some stamps from a local designer, like, in, like, rubber stamps.
Oh.
And she's from KK, Sabah. So,
I feel it's quite idealistic though. How it's... For somebody who has, like, a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah, and I have to worry about my rice now.
I have to shop either after work or on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Unless I have this rice in Tesco.
Yeah.
Or like, a smaller grocery store. I'm not going to really give a shit.
Yeah.
Unless I have red plates and Untouched now.
Yeah. Or listen to Teroka podcast and like, oh shit, I learned something valuable today. Need to pay attention to my rice. The sauce.
And then you got like the whole price issue.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult
problems to solve.
habit also to change among consumers, I think. Easier said than done of like, try and be more aware of what you're eating. But I don't know. It's difficult.
if you can pay, like, 30 ringgit for watered down beer, I don't see why you can't pay a bit more for proper rice. So, I mean, it's up to the consumer, of course. So, at the end of the day, like, whether they want pretty looking apples or flawless produce that have been pesticide to death, or you want to buy the bayam that has a few like chaching holes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just went to Langit's collective website, langit.com.my.
Yes.
And there are a couple of sources that you can get. I think there's one in actually there's two in Bangsa. There's one in Penang and there's another one in Jalan Ampang. So I guess we can check it out.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where you can buy a rice.
But like you said about pretty fruits and vegetables, right? Yeah. A lot of people like equate the greenness, the cleanness to it being healthy.
Or the shape of the potato, like you can get rejected for being an ugly shape, Like,
Which is crazy, yeah? And like, if you look at something and it looks so nice, like it's out of a magazine, chances are like there's some shit on it.
Yeah. It's
the whole argument of like, you shouldn't eat too many imported fruits and vegetables. Especially grapes.
Really?
Most grapes come from overseas, I would think. And they have to remain nice and juicy and looking so nice the whole way here to the shelf. You buy it, you go home, leave it in the fridge for like 2 days, take it out, and it still looks fucking tasty. Like something must be wrong, man.
Bro, they got superior soy, bro. It's organic, bro. I mean, that's the thing, right? We don't... I mean, all of us want that high quality food. And then manufacturer have to... obviously reality is you won't get high quality food all the time. There's going to be variances in the taste and everything. But then we don't want to accept that, right? So someone else start producing, then everybody see that guy producing. And then like we have to follow suit. So one good example is actually bacon. A lot of people, when they buy bacon or they buy red meat, they think like the redder it is, the fresher it is. So the one that is a bit pale, not fresh, right? So what manufacturers start to do is that they start putting food coloring.
Additive.
Yeah, they put additive. And the additive is actually a cancer-causing agent. And so there was a period of time I remember people talk about don't eat so much red meat because it causes cancer. And then at some point, some gun is like, are you guys idiots? The Inuits have been eating red meat exclusively, right? And then what was the cancer rate in their population? 0. So, I mean, stomach cancer. Maybe they get lung cancer from smoking. I don't know.
On the DMT.
So I never really thought about it, but the food industry is really huge. And yeah.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of documentaries. You can spend your whole weekend
Yeah.
watching all the food documentaries, all the
And when
Yeah.
I had this position where I thought like it's really ridiculous that people used to fight over spices, over pepper, and it still sounds very ridiculous. But the truth of the matter is that if you're the first guy who import a lot of fucking pepper into a new place and people like it, you make a lot of money. It's a black gold, basically. So yeah, it's something that we eat every day, but I never really thought much about it until I, read plates and watched some Netflix documentary on food. Like the whole food pyramid that we learned is people lobby for that shit. There's no such thing as a food pyramid. Yeah, and my most fascinating thing that I wanted to ask you was that, looking into all these different ingredients, have you tried any different diets as well? Have you tried to modify your diet? Do you think now
because
that
of
carbs
what
is not
I've been
bad?
writing,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say so. Not drastically.
Right.
No, I think like just meeting the farmers, and I mean it's only rice. Like I'm not gonna modify my diet because of, but I definitely like appreciate rice a lot more. So like when I go to a restaurant, I always like check their rice first. Like I'm not even joking. Like I can tell it's quite bad now. So when you go to a cheap like Tai Chow, right, Chinese coffee shop restaurant,
The rice.
it's damn hard. The rice is really hard. And they actually, so in Sarawak, they call it beras keras, like our subsidy rice, because it's no taste,
Meant for
right?
the birds.
Yeah, probably pigeons, broken rice, and you're like, oh, broken rice. And then the sushi rice, when you go to the cheap chains versus the a bit more premium ones, you can see like, oh, the rice got difference. So you know what you're paying for.
I guess you've become more aware.
Yeah, you just become more aware. But to answer your question, it didn't change my diet. No.
But I feel like we should go eat together so I know where's the good rice place.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely. Dee May said okay one. Yeah, the editor of plates, bro. Stamp.
Yeah.
The Dee May star.
Yeah, I'll give them put a sticker on the door.
Yeah. It's like the Michelin star, right? Like it's also funny because I thought like the Michelin star is like all the chefs sit down, decide this is the best shit place to makan. Then I found out it's really the Michelin tire shop, bro. When they used to sell tire, they just give you a manual like this is where is the good place to eat.
Exactly, because it was a complimentary thing. It would come with your map to say this is Michelin approved, and that's Michelin approved.
Yeah. This is some random guy created and then it just took off.
It's amazing how it has spun off and become like the authority.
Yeah.
From like, originating from just their idea of like make people drive more.
Yeah. Like a value add thing, right? You're gonna drive, here's the place to eat.
Yeah.
So you don't know, maybe.
Yeah. No. I mean, we'll
Plates
talk
verified.
about cultural appropriation more in the second issue. There's a lot to talk about there. So.
About durian?
Yeah, about durian and how the West views the East, the food that we eat.
Right.
And for example, just to give you like something that's already out there, the jackfruit, the nangka. I mean, Guardian published an article claiming like, oh my God, we found this new meat for vegan. It's called the jackfruit.
Oh my goodness.
So then there are food blogs like, oh, jackfruit, the new vegan meat. Now meat grows on trees. Is actually a tagline in one of the articles I read.
It has to be clickbaity, isn't it?
No, and it has to be approved by a white writer who is clearly not well exposed, because one of the articles said like somewhere in Kerala, I think they said like, oh, in Kerala no one eats the jackfruit until like 5 years ago. And I'm like, hello, 5 years ago. It was just like very lazy journalism, and I wouldn't even call it journalism. Like it's just something that, and unless it gets the white approval, it's not cool. Like coconut water, for example, coconut water you can buy it at Holland and Barrett for like in this health food store in the UK. It's a few pounds. Over here you just buy it for £1, RM5. And the fellow will cut the coconut for you.
Yeah, cut out the meat also.
But somebody was telling me this as well. their friend, white person or like non-Asian, always drinking coconut water in those
In the box.
packets and all that, came to Malaysia and had
The actual
a
thing.
fresh coconut. So like, fuck's this shit? Like, this is not coconut. That is coconut. What the pre-packed
Ew, the Vita
coconut
Coco
water.
stuff.
That's like saying that orange juice is that Marigold brand, or that's orange juice. It's weird, huh? But what is really impressive about the West is that in a short span of less than 100 years, I think, they are culturally so dominant. What you say is right. I think if you get a white stamp in sports, in food, in whatever the fuck you want to do, whether it's electric guitar or whatever fuck, if there's a white guy who did it, everyone will start, there's a trend, everyone will start following. They are that influential. And one of the things that I think when we started doing the Teroka podcast as well, we talked about, we watch all white TV, what? That's why we want hugs from our parents.
Don't need
Right?
hugs.
Right? If you want hugs, if you think like your parents don't say I love you, or you want hugs from your parents and you think that's the right way of living,
It's the white way of
that's
living.
the white way of living. And unfortunately, I mean, I do like hugs, so yeah, that's how prevalent it is. And I don't know, it wasn't until I went to Europe and I felt some discrimination that I start to change my point of view, and I am fiercely Malaysian right now. I like to think. Although I still watch a lot of Western media.
But then don't you feel a bit angrier sometimes when you see the Western media and how they depict our stories? I don't know about you, like when I see like travel shows now, I get very like, what? How dare you use those words to like, sensationalize, make everything so exotic.
Yeah.
And it's just about the language that they use. Like, for example, the durian, you know, how they're like, oh, it's the world's smelliest fruit. And then it's in Sweden's Museum of World's Most Disgusting Foods.
Oh my goodness.
Is Century Egg a part of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Century. Like, I remember watching Fear Factor when I was a lot younger, and Century Egg was one of the. I was like, ha ha ha.
I was like, bitch, I would just.
Even durian, there was an episode
Oh my.
where they had to roll a dice and then blend this whatever juice. One of the things was durian, and Joe Rogan is there like, smell this, man, smell this.
No, I think it's about time that we take back the narrative, man. Like, there's not enough food focus magazines from the East. Like, there are a few like niche magazines, but not like championing our food with our language and our narrative.
Right. Yeah.
Like, we're just leaving it to the West to like, okay, until it's good. Like, you know how David Chang discusses in Ugly Delicious why is Chinese food expected to be cheap?
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying to say? Like, why can't like cacio e pepe, so the cheese and pepper dish from Rome, why would we pay like 12 euros for it?
Yeah.
And then we don't for curry laksa over here, which needs more ingredients and actually has protein in it. You're like, oh, we only will pay like 2 euros max.
Yeah.
Same thing with also, like, I was listening to this on DFM, kueh. And like, kueh actually takes a long time to make. And doesn't have a long shelf life. But literally what that lady said, like, 1 ringgit 25 cents, and we complain. It's too expensive. But we will pay,
$60 for a
for a slice
secret
of
recipe.
cake, we'll pay like
12 ringgit, 15 ringgit.
15 bucks.
For essentially what is a 2 minutes experience. So small.
Instagram experience, don't forget.
But
Yeah.
with your, I think kueh looks nice as well.
It is very
Kueh
pretty.
looks
Yeah.
so pretty.
But
Especially a
it's not
nice
exotic
golden
lah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just not exotic lah, isn't it? That's the whole thing lah.
It's not exotic to us.
Yeah. Yeah. And then some Angmo eat it, and then suddenly it's cool, and then we're like, heritage hashtag.
Oh God,
You know,
I
those
cannot.
people.
But with your, I wanted to like touch a little bit more of this whole going print thing. Do you feel that you are disadvantaged in any way?
In what sense, financially or?
In whatever sense, in the sense of either, I don't know, not getting the reach. Also, I guess it's your objective of the whole magazine, right? Maybe you don't want to be the most popular food media brand. You're focused on being in print, but being, primarily in print, do you think you're worse off, or it's more difficult for you to
Find
spread
your-
your message?
To find your own voice, or would you be one of those niche magazines that you just mentioned?
I would say the niche magazines, definitely. I wouldn't say it's a disadvantage because otherwise I wouldn't even bother with this. Like, I actually genuinely believe in print and like I breathe print like everywhere I go. So I know to people who don't buy print, it's like, what is this? Borders is closing down, MPH is closing down.
Correct.
But actually there are a lot of boutique
Bookstore.
bookstores overseas that are like paying premium for all these kind of specific type of magazines. And again, going back to like the digital fatigue, I think like sooner or later things are going to start coming offline for a little while. And I'm still going to use the internet for marketing, like no doubt, like Instagram is still going to stay. And then maybe I might do videos in the future. I don't know. We'll see.
You should.
Yeah, I'll do videos. Maybe like just to complement, but essentially print, the idea behind print is you can take it in a plane with you.
Yeah. You can enjoy it on the
Everywhere
go.
you go. Oh my gosh, one of my trainers just said something. I was like, I don't know how to react to this. So he flipped through the magazine and he was like, oh, this is something like I would read in the toilet. And I was like, what? I was like, is that a compliment? He's like, yeah. And he's
Such a
like,
confusing.
I was like, do I say thank you? And he was like, no, like it makes your poop like more productive. I was like, your 15 minutes of...
No, but it's true though. Like, I think the toilet is a space for great magazines. I used to go to like this auntie's house, my mom's sister, and in their toilets they would have like a not rack lah, like a tray of magazines. It's nice.
I don't know. I'm a bit of a germaphobe. So all
Yeah.
I can think about is like the shit particles on the magazine, and like everyone's shit is like around
Oh
those.
God.
But it makes
It's
your
gonna be there
yeah,
in the toilet anyway. Right on your toilet paper that you're gonna use.
bro.
Anyway.
I just imagine like you flipping and then you licking your, and then you flip another page and then you lick again, and it's like
Who does
collective
that?
shit on collective of shit particles on that.
But you wouldn't like wipe your butt and then like...
No, so
Come on.
No, so the thing is that
When
yeah,
you flush.
when you
particles
flush
are flying.
particle.
Yeah, but you close, that's why you close the lid.
Some people don't close the lid, man. It's fucking disgusting. I always close the lid, bro. Always I close the lid. Since the day I saw the I think it was on Nat Geo. Since the day I saw that shit, I was like, holy crap. You mean I've been brushing my teeth with shit
Yes.
particles on my...
You have, have. But yes, there is like a sort of renaissance of print in the sense of I see a lot more like subcultures in Malaysia
Yeah.
having zines. That's what they call it these days, right? Zines. Which are like slim magazines or like...
Yeah.
What's the difference between a magazine and a zine? A zine is more like a periodical kind of thing, like a newsletter.
It's like an ad
It's
hoc
like
kind of...
smaller. I mean, like smaller in size as well and thinner. And I think you could actually print some at home
Yeah.
because you're using A4 and then
A4
you...
and maybe just folding it kind of
Yeah,
thing.
but then I think the thing is you can't really... I mean, I have bought zines, but you wouldn't be inclined to pay that price.
Yes.
Like, say, you wouldn't pay like 20 US for a zine because
The quality is...
like when you feel... So for example, like Mekong Review,
Right.
it's 26 ringgit, I believe. But then when you look at it, like the content is amazing. But then for a consumer who is just being introduced to it, you will look at it and think, this is a newspaper. Why am I paying 26 ringgit for a tabloid-sized newspaper? So it's also... It's about appealing to the people who first come into
Right.
contact with it. That's why like I pay a lot of attention to the finishing, to the type of paper. Oh my God, the
Yeah.
number of papers I felt.
Yeah, I have to say, well done. Feels really good on my hand.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
I will pick up a copy.
thank you.
Yeah.
If you're in KL, you can get a copy at Snack Food, Bangsar.
Oh, cool.
Maybe Silverfish, Bangsar. I mean, we'll see. I'll put it out on the website. And Lit Books in Tropicana.
Avenue.
We'll
Avenue.
have- oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have all these links, of course, in the bio.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Can we
But
get it
this is-
online?
Yes,
As
you
well?
can
Yeah.
get it online.
Okay.
Like an
On
e-version.
no,
No,
you
like-
can order it and then I'll
okay,
pack it for you. I'm also a
But the
post
magazine
lady.
is not an e-magazine.
No,
or
not
it
at
does not
all.
exist in the form of an e-magazine.
No, you cannot download and read it. You
You're
have
like an analog purist, like
yes,
vinyl revival.
Old school cool.
yeah.
I also wanted to ask if this was like, is this your first business venture? Your own thing, right?
Does selling stickers in primary school count? I mean, I used to sell stickers in primary school.
Yeah.
Pretty entrepreneurial.
I think stickers
Rubber.
brought you to magazines.
I sell rubbers too.
See?
I used to burn CDs like
Oh,
mixtape. Tell me
nice.
which 15 songs you want on the CD.
Cash
Nice.
selection.
But so like before this, you were basically in employment. Now
Yeah.
you are. I assume you're doing all this on your own distribution.
Yes, everything. Packing,
paper.
everything. Accounting, everything.
And what's that like? Like, do you have somebody to guide you, to show you like you have to go look for paper first, and then
I think it was
have to
more
talk
like
to-
on the go as I learned. So when I started, I had a designer friend, Rachel, and she was pretty much the person who helped me with the skeleton of things. So like what you said, whether it was the paper first or the spine, whether do you design the spine first or the spine of the magazine last, and just a lot of things for them is muscle memory. But for me, it was like learning from scratch. So it always helps to ask around. I think there were simple things like pagination and a lot of things. I mean, I set up my own bloody shopping cart. It's like, I didn't think I would ever get to that, but it happened. So I think for the first issue, it was a lot. The learning curve was crazy steep. But for the second issue now, because I already know like who I'm going to print my stuff with, how do I want to do the layout, how many images do I need, words, everything, it's kind of there, like the frame is there. So
and in the business sense, then is this a money maker or is this a passion kind of a project?
it is a passion project that I hope will sustain me. So it's definitely not a cash cow, like straight up.
okay.
Like, if any angel investors want to invest, please do.
Yeah.
But if someone wants to ask, like, oh, how much money am I going to make from this? Like, I mean, like, flat out, unless I have 2 salespeople selling ads for me, double page spread ads. That's the whole another thing. So I'm still, in terms of funding, I'm self-funding it for now. But I'll be looking at grants, applying for art grants or cultural grants. But investing wise, like, if you're going to ask me if I'm going to make millions, I'm telling you straight up, it's not millions. It's just maybe this is the base, and then hopefully I can be part of this ecosystem that will allow me to pay freelancers the rate that I would want to be paid, and then just, just be part of the freelancer and creative ecosystem and keep it healthy for everyone. Just like, so I have to just stay alive, like, regardless.
That's
But
pretty cool. And the first issue, there are no ads,
no ads.
which is, I think, also very pleasant to the reader.
Yeah.
I
Definitely
would
is.
definitely prefer a magazine with no ads.
Yeah.
Um,
I liked it.
even if it meant having to pay,
Pay
a little
extra.
bit more. Lah.
Yeah.
Again, it's a biennial,
Biannual.
biannual. Every
Yeah,
6
twice
months.
a year. Yeah.
But it would be interesting if you put ads of the vendors, like how to get directly from these guys.
Yeah. So at
etc.
the end, like, there's the stockists at the end. But I mean, in terms of advertising, I would be very particular the person has to have the same vision.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, it can't be a random
Talk
brand.
about rice and then like full page pesticide advertisement.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That'd be hilarious.
Okay, interesting. And then just about like more content creation stuff. Do you plan on going in other types of media? So like not just print, maybe an online site or videos, documentaries.
So on the website, there is a section called dispatches, and that is, I think it's just more like behind the scenes or like other things that I wouldn't put in a magazine, but it's like easy reading and it's complementary to whatever you get in print. So it's like an add-on feature, I guess. Like if you are just browsing through the site.
So it's kind of like a preview.
And a post, like a debrief also. So like if you read the magazine, then you were like, oh, this is an add-on. Whereas if you're just coming through and you read it, you'll be thinking like, who is this person? Like, why does this person matter?
Okay.
But I am looking at tinkering with podcasts. I mean, playing on the idea, but I still feel weird about holding a podcast interview. I mean, I tried it when I was going to the Orang Asli village. I was with my friend Emily, who's also going to be writing with us in the next issue. We tried to talk about where we were going and what we were going to do, and it was just so awkward, like in the car. I had like my little roadie mic that I attached to my phone, and then I was just like, oh, I don't think I'm ready for this. Let's just, never mind.
More of a pen person.
Yeah, but it was quite nice because like Tim Ferriss, I love his podcast. Like he would interview people on the go. Like so you can hear like they're in a car and then they're like describing the scenery outside. I think that would be why I would choose podcast also because yeah, because it's faster to dispatch versus like video. Video you have so many other things to worry about, the lighting, everything, post ad, but this one is at least you have one less thing to worry about. So
I agree.
I mean,
We have video problems.
Experiences, man, not problems.
get in like an illustrator or graphic person. Like, you know, like how NPR does it.
Who's NPR?
National Public Radio in the States.
They really good shows.
Yeah. Amazing. Like they do like really long interviews with just like random people telling their stories, and then they get animation. So you watch like animation and then you listen to the person's voice. So it's really nice.
The drawing one, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're trying to go low budget here. We're just trying to get the content out.
Anybody?
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, anybody who thinks they can contribute to us, to you plates, you know, reach out to us and we will send them your way with a little bit of commission.
Yes. I pay freelancers again.
Right.
Nobody puts experience in their EPF, so or superannuation. Yeah.
That's how you get featured on choosing baggers on Reddit as well. There's a subreddit called Choosing Beggars, and it's just a compilation of all the people who ask artists to do free work, and like say you get exposure what? Yeah. Okay, we've crossed the 2-hour mark as well.
Oh, are you serious? Whoa.
Yeah. I'm getting a bit tired and hungry.
Talking a lot about food.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna eat some nasi goreng. Wait, Maggi goreng ayam downstairs is nice. I remember that.
Get some rice in you. And we'll talk over plates then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Funny girl.
Look at this. Fella. Okay, so shall we wrap up here? I need to return the phone cable as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
It was great talking to you.
Obviously, you can find you on Instagram, Facebook. What's
Yes.
your handler?
Plates magazine.
Right.
Plates as in many, many bowls and plates. PLATES magazine. And my personal handle is Dee May Tan, DEEMAYTAN.
And the Plates website is platesmagazine.com.
Yes.
Fantastic. Grab a new copy. I did, and I'm really impressed. I just have to say I'm really impressed with the work. The quality of the journalism is definitely there. And the paper is actually very nice to feel. I just like, wow, this is high quality shit. Yeah. Well done.
Thanks.
And hopefully we'll speak to you soon.
Yes.
After Duran.
Yeah, after Durian, we'll Teroka together.
Yeah.
Awesome. And to all our listeners, like if you know anybody interesting or cool for us to talk to, like Dee May,
Hit
drop
us up.
a line.
Yeah. At what's our website?
Podcast@gmail.com.
The website will be set up. We will have an Instagram page.
By the time you listen to this, yes.
Yes. So, okay.
All right, man.
All right.
Goodbye. Good chatting with you.
Ciao, guys.
Bye.